शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य त्वन्मयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारि मृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, chapter 21, verse 27. So this is the story of King Prithu after he returned back to his capital, performing 99 Ashwamedh sacrifices. And then once more he has assembled along with great scholars, devas, brahmanas, to take part in a satra, and there he gave a very nice lecture to the assembled people, instructions. And very humbly he said that he is not instructing anybody, but he is offering his thoughts for consideration. He said that he has been appointed as a king by all these people, and therefore it is his duty to take care of the people. And there are 4 responsibilities, he said, that a king has. That he must give protection to people, because in the society there are always some people who are stronger than others, and anybody who has power likes to exploit others. This is the nature of power. Unless one is very sattvic by nature and has power, then one will utilize that in the service of others. Otherwise, any rajasic, tamasic person has power, then such a person exploits others for his own sense gratification. So therefore there is a need of king or a ruler or a state to give protection to common people. So that is one of the foremost duties of the king or the ruler. Then second is that everybody should have means of sustenance. Everybody should have a place to live, cloth to wear and food to eat. And then the third is that everybody should engage in religious duties. That principles which are established by the Shastra, they must be followed by people. And then he also must give protection from the enemies. So these are the duties of a king, and he said that I am requesting all of you that you please be gracious on me and perform your duties properly, then I will also attain supreme destination. Because if a king is not performing his duty properly, then such a king gets also the sinful reaction of the people. Because ruler or king is taking taxes from the people, and if he is not doing his duty properly, then he gets involved in the sins of the people. So this is what he said, that you please approve of what I am saying. If I am wrong, then you correct me. If I am right, then please follow this. Because anyone who does an activity or instructs others to do certain activity or approves of certain activity, they all get the same benefit, good or bad. So this is what he spoke in the assembly very nicely. And now he continues and he speaks, it's a very peculiar type of verse. He says, Asti yagyapatirnama kesanchidarha saptamaha yamutra cha lakshante jyotsna vatye kvachit bhuvaha. He said that, oh venerable people who have assembled in this sabha, in this assembly, there is a person who is called Yagyapati, or the master of the yagya, the sacrifice. Why? Because it is seen that here as well as in other planets, there are people who have effulgent bodies. Jyotsnavatti Kochit Bhuva is what is said. So this verse seems little strange. Suddenly he says this. But Jiva Goswami gives the basis why he speaks like this. He makes a point that Indra Pakhanda Bhransit Mati Prati Pratmana. Says because previously Indra, he had propagated atheistic ideas or irreligious ideas, and therefore, as it was said there, some people, they became naturally attracted to his irreligious ways. So he is speaking for them, because such people may say that actually there is no God, so why we have to perform?
Indra was propagated. Indra was propagated.
Indra, you remember? Indra was coming and stealing the horse. And there it was said that whatever activities and dresses he took, then many people followed that. So some people therefore believe that there is no God. Many people believe now also, right? People, they don't believe in God. They think, where is God? God was just created by human mind. Because in the beginning, when people living in the nature, and if they saw lightning in the sky, this was something very strange. So they became scared of it, and then they started worshipping fire. Because to begin with, there was no fire. So when fire came on the ground through the lightning, so they became worshipful of the fire. Or if they saw the clouds and clouds were bringing rain, they worshipped rain. Then there is a rain god, fire god. Then heavy wind is blowing, taking away your hut. So then they worshipped wind god. So therefore there is no really God, it's all human beings, they made it up. Some people say like that. So he is countering this idea. Says Asti Yagyapatir Nama, that actually there is a God. Why? He says because if you see this variety in the world, then it cannot be explained by anything else. That why is that two people perform same action and they get different result. So if the result is coming only because of our karma, our action, then according to mathematical formula, if you perform act A and I also perform act B, then we should both get same result. If you drive at the speed of 50 kilometers an hour and I drive 50 kilometers an hour, we should both reach 50 kilometers in 1 hour. But if I reach 50 and you reach only 25, then there must be something else which is bringing this change. So he says that this variety which you see in the society and in the other planets also, this cannot be explained unless there is somebody who is beyond all this, who is controlling. Because the actions are inert and actions cannot give result by themselves. Nor you can say that we are born and then we die and then there is no life after that. Because if there is no life after death, then why is it that some people are born healthy and some are born poor in the same family to the same parents? And although they have same genes, why there is discrepancy in their life? So this can be only explained by the law of karma, and if there is a karma, then there must be somebody who is arranging for people to have the result of karma. Because karma is not going to give the result by itself, inert, actionless. So that's why he says that there is Yagyapati. Yagya means action, basically it's a religious action. And then we get result by performing. So therefore he says Yagyapatir Nami Keshanchidara Sattama. And it is for this reason that there are people living in the higher planets who has effulgent bodies, because they have performed some pious deeds. There are people living on this earth, they have performed another type of deeds. It is for this reason that there is variety. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Nanu Kuruta Dhokshaj Dhiyaha Iti Adhokshaj Aradhana Pravate Tu Nihase Tat Katham Sambhavet Tvat Pitra Vena Tat Updesha Kair Anneirapi Anangikritatvat. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that if someone raises a doubt or a question, because Prithu's father was an atheist, and they say that your father, he did not believe in God, and he propagated that there is no God, don't worship God, and there were also other people supporting him, and you are saying worship God, because in the previous verse Prithu said that everybody should worship God. So how is it possible now that you follow what your father said or what you are saying? So in response to that he is speaking. Says Asti iti he arha sattama iti viparit lakshanaya. So he is calling them honorable sir, which means that you stupid fools, listen. Yagyapatir naam Parmeshwara ke sanchin mate tavad asti. That there is actually the Supreme Person in the opinion of some people. There are others who may not agree, but some say. Tathapi vipratipatter na tat siddhi. But now because some say there is God and some say there is no God, so who is right and how to ascertain the reality? So then he speaks the second half of the verse. Jagat Vachitriya Anathanupattim Pramanati. That this variety in the universe is not possible otherwise. Because if there is a factory or a company manufacturing certain objects and there is a machine, then all the objects come out same. It's making car, they all come same design. Unless some person tries to bring a change in the model. So if there is no controller behind this nature, and it evolved from the amoeba, right? So what is the next from amoeba? What came out from the amoeba? So whatever is the next, then it must be similar from all the amoebas. First of all amoebas are similar. They are same structure, it's only one single cell. So whatever should evolve from that should be similar. Why the variety? So therefore he says that this variety cannot be explained without the presence of some controller behind it. Iha pratakshena amutra shastrena cha jyotsnavatya kanti vaichitrivatya kvachit jyotsnavatyascha अतिशयोक्ता दृष्ट अदृष्ट शुभ कर्मणाम फल तारतम्यत्य फल भावत्य च भुवा भोग भूमेव देहाश्च लक्ष्यन्ते. So he says that we see various types of bodies in the human society, and although they are all human beings, but no two human beings are same exactly. Their thumbprints are different. Actually everything is different. Although everybody is different, but there is so much variety. Although they all have 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, face, hands, legs, and yet everybody is different. You try to make no human being can produce so much of one object, and every object will look different completely. It's just impossible that this happens. So this is not possible unless something more is involved than just evolution. Because you can evolve, there is no problem. Let apes become human beings. But why do they look different? So therefore he says that there is a law of karma, and karma manifests in different ways, and everybody has got different history and different karma. So according to activities, some people have performed pious activities, some people have performed impious activities, some people have performed mixed activities. Then correspondingly everyone gets a body. Our body is an outcome of our past karma. Whatever we are at present, it is the outcome of our past history. Whatever we have done, because our body is continuously changing. It is continuously interacting with the atmosphere outside. Even if you are not doing anything, just sitting, at least you are breathing. So breath is also going inside, and then this breath goes to each cell and brings a change. So every second we are changing continuously. So this change which is happening is what giving us the present moment. And all the changes inside us, it is all accumulated in us. So our past history is contained inside us, and because the past history is unique for every person, therefore everybody is unique. But that result of uniqueness is not in our hands. It is not that we decided that I want to be born in France, I want to be born as a girl with blonde hair, or I want to be a male This was not in our hand. We were just born. So it was not an accident, but somebody has decided it for us. And that decision, of course, is not arbitrary, that is based on our past karma. So that's what it says, drishta subhakarmanam phalatartam. And there's variation, there's variety, gradations, and phalabhavat. So some people get the outcome of karma, some as desired, some don't get as they desire. And we see it even in our own life. We plan certain things, we work very hard for it, then we don't get the result as we desire. So if everything was happening according to my karma, then I must get as I planned. But there are many factors which are also intervening. Time is also there, my fate is there, other people, atmosphere. So all these things, they are influencing the result. And then these things are not working independently, but there is someone who is controlling them. That's what he is explaining, that this is Yadipati. I am Arthaha says the meaning is as follows. न तावत् कर्मणः फलदातृत्वं घटते जडत्वात्. Says that the actions cannot give result by themselves because they don't have any life in them. They are inert. They don't have any choice to give result. न च अर्वाक् देवतानां स्वातन्त्र्यम् अंतर्यामिषुते. Also these devatas, which were also present, some higher beings, they also don't have, because they are also born recently. What about the karma which was performed much before they themselves were born? So somebody who can give the result of karma must be the one who is witness to my karma. And he must be as old as my karma. And karma is beginningless, because there is no beginning for my own existence. I was never created. It is only the body which is created, but the soul is never created. Soul is beginningless. So my karma is beginningless. The person who is giving the result to my karma should also be beginningless. It cannot be these devatas who also have a beginning. So that's why he says, Arvak devatanam swatantram अंतर्यामिषुते न च तत्कर्म साम्ये फलतारतम्यं क्वचित् तदभावस्य संभवति. So the idea of Purvamimamsakas who do not believe in God and consider that karma is independent in giving the result, then the question comes, then why two people perform same type of yajna get different result? Tartamya cannot be explained. And sometimes there is no result. So atah kartum akartum anyatha kartum samarthena parameshwarena bhavana. Therefore it has to be accepted that there is somebody who is superior and supremely powerful, omnipotent, omnipresent, who can do whatever he likes to do, who can undo things, who can do things in a different way. That has to be accepted. So that's the meaning of this verse. Yasya eva adar tartamya sati phal tartamya adara bhave phala bhave. So the meaning is that if we accept that God, and then depending upon how much we are devoted to Him, there is a variety in the result. And if we don't accept and we only do some religious activity, then there is no result. So that's the meaning of, that is the reason for all this variety which exists. Then one may say, what actually is the proof of what you are saying? So he says that proof is the history or historical people, realized people who have accepted this and realized this fact. So he quotes few names. Says Manoruttan Padasya Dhruvasya Mahipatehe Priyavratasya Rajarasya Rangasya Asmat Pituhu Pituhu Idrishanamathanyesham Ajasya Cha Bhavasya Cha Prahradasya Baleschapi Kritam Nasti Gadadmrita Dohitradinam Rite Mrityoho Sochan Dharma Vimohitan Varga Swarga Purganam Prayane Katma Hetuna. So he says in this regard, the proof is that there have been many great people like Manu and Uttanpad, his son, and then his son Dhruv Maharaj. So he went to forest even when he was 5 years old, meditated on the Lord and had the direct vision of the Lord. So all these great kings, then Priyavrata, and then Anga, Asmat Pitu Pitu, he says my own grandfather, because he was also great devotee of the Lord. So he says such people, this is the proof on God's existence. Means somebody who has actually realized, that is the best proof. Even if you try to say that Shastra is saying, or logically you try to prove something, you can always find some superior logic to counter that. But those who have directly realized and acted according to the teachings of God, their experience is the best proof. So he says there are others, Ajasya Cha, Brahma, Bhavasya Cha, Lord Shiva. So they are the proof in the existence of God. And these are all saintly people, saintly kings. But even among the demoniac people, materialistic people, there have been great personalities. Therefore it says, Prahladasya Baleschapi Krityam Asti Kada. That people like Prahlad, although he was born to the greatest materialist of all times, but Prahlada became a great devotee, great lover of the God. And his grandson Bali Maharaj, who donated everything to one another. So he says so many people are the proof. So they all worshipped God and they were in love with God and had direct communion with God. Then he says there are others who do not accept, but they are worthy of lamentation. He says Dohitradinam Vite Mritya. He says Vena, his own father, who was son of Mrityu's daughter. So he says they are the deluded people who do not have proper knowledge, proper understanding, and they are confused under the influence of ignorance. They spoke. And then see what happened to them, their end. They have to suffer. Vena has to go to hell and suffer. So he says you can see the result of both types of people. See the life of Prahlad, Bali, Dhruv Maharaj. So they all attained perfection and they are happy, still living. And people like may not have to suffer. So Varga, Swarga, Apvarganam, Prayana Ekatma Hetu. So he says that whether one wants Varga, Trivarga, Dharma, Artha, Kama, or one wants heaven or one wants liberation, it all happens by the grace of the Lord. Because even if one wants to go to heaven, one has to believe in God. An atheist is not going to go to heaven. Even sometimes question is asked that people who are atheistic, but they are well behaved. So then what will happen then? So this so-called well behavior, good behavior, morality is not something which exists without relationship to God. Because the basis of morality, there has to be some foundation for morality. What is moral, what is immoral? This is not somebody's speculation or concoction. This is not by majority vote. It is what God considers as moral and what is immoral. Because He is the one who knows what is beneficial for human beings. So if one does not accept God, then take another birth. No problem. So therefore he says that Varga Swarga Pvarganam Prayana Ekatma. These are based on the acceptance of God. They are caused by Him, they are rooted in Him. Vidvad anubhavena pi Ishwar siddhimaha. So he gives the proof of Lord's existence by the experience of great lovers of God, scholars. Manoho Swambhuvasya, Manu means Swambhu Manu. Asmat Pitu Pitu, his own grandfather. Prahlad Bali Tadanim Shastrad Eva Gyatva Ganita. Now there is interesting thing is that he is listing Prahlad and Bali, but they happened later on, after him. So how he is referring to them? So he says this is known from the history because this history repeats. So their names are mentioned in the Shastra. Just like many names are mentioned of the kings who will appear in the next yuga. And it is described, Kalki will come, his parents' names are mentioned. So that we know from Shastra, from the scriptures. So he also knows this. Gadabhrita krityam asti Gadadharanan madhur manohar rupavata. So Lord is called here as Gadabhrita, holds a club. So this is to indicate that he has a beautiful form. That is another thing. There are many people who don't believe in God. And those who believe in God, then there are many who think that God is formless. God is only an energy. What kind of energy? Electrical energy, magnetic energy. What energy? Chemical energy.
Light
Light energy.
and sound.
Sound energy.
Both.
So God is not only energy, He has energy. He is a person and He has energies. It's like you are a person and you have energy. God is also a person. If you are a person, why God cannot be a person? Why you think He is less than you? So that is the meaning of Gadabhrata. That He is a person and He is a beautiful person.
Who believes that?
He is quite beautiful. And only thing is that His body is not temporary like us. Our bodies, we have body, but our body is material. He has a spiritual body which does not undergo changes like our body undergoes. His body does not become sick, old, does not need Ayurveda. He can function without Ayurveda. So that is the meaning of the word Gadabhrita. Krityam cha tesham nirantar sakshat charana paricharanam yevigam. And what are the duties of these people? This is always rendering loving service, devotion to the Lord. Tadamnyastu ninditvainaha. And those who are not like that, they are despicable. Mrityor dohitradin venadin vina dharma vihohita. Why? Because they are confused people, they are deluded about their own duties. Ateva sochyan, and therefore they are lamentable, pitiable. Means we can show our compassion to them if there is an opportunity. Mrityoriti anena te adya yadi atra manmate vipratipatsante tarhi tan mrityos tan mata mahasya purim prasthapishyami. So his father, who was a big atheist, his mother's name was Mrityu. And actually he was the daughter of Mrityu, or death personified. Death also has a personality. So he is calling them as Dohitradan Mrite Mrityu, that grandson of Mrityu. Is implied meaning. He says that if anybody is sitting here in my assembly who is like that, I would like to break his head and send him to Mrityu. Let him not be here. He can go to the planet of the Mrityu. Let him go to Mrityu Loka and live with his friend Vena, my father. So tam gadabhritam vishinasti. And then he distinguishes this gadabhrita, this god. Vargo atra trivargam swargo dharmasya phalam apvargo mokshas tesham ekatma hetuna eko asahayasya asau atma swarupam cheti ekatma swarthesha. So he says that this Lord is the one who is the source of all the three varga. Whether you want good wealth or you want happy life or you want to become liberated, self-realized, enlightened. So he says that it all happens by the grace of the Lord. If we think that we will become successful independent of God, then that is an illusion. And you can maintain that illusion for some time. People do maintain it for some time. But then what happens, that God will come as death. Then you cannot say, no, please go away, I don't want you. No one can say that. So we can deny God, and He gives us this freedom to deny. God is very compassionate. You can deny and try to act independently. So although nobody is independent, we are dependent even for breath. And that breath is not in our control. It's not that you are consciously breathing. This breath is also running without your control. So, and without breath you cannot live. So how are you independent? You sleep at night, you are not consciously breathing. You are not saying, let me breathe in now. If that was the case, you will not sleep at all. It will be a big problem for you. So it is good that you are not the controller and you can sleep. Yeah, if you are the controller, like when you drive the car, you cannot sleep. Try to sleep and drive. You will sleep permanently. Don't have to drive again. So, yet out of delusion, many people think that we are independent. It's very interesting that we are not pumping our heart voluntarily. We are not circulating our blood by our will. We are not breathing consciously. Yet we think, and these are very important things in our life. Without that we cannot function. Yet we think we are supreme. Some people even think we are God. There is no God other than me. So you imagine. So such people have always existed. It's not only now. In the past also there have been people like this. Because human mind is like that. When it is influenced by tamas, then it thinks like that. So such people, they cannot become successful in their life. That is the point. And ultimately what happens? God does not give them complete freedom that you can go on doing it. Your nonsense. Then God says, I come as death. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mrityu sarva harasya. He says, then I come as Mrityu, death. Then I say, okay, my friend, now I take your breath away. And let me see if you can get it back. So then the person's breath goes out and does not come in. And it is not that there is a rope attached to breath that you can pull it. Suppose your breath goes out and does not come in, what will you do? There is no way that you can pull it back. So that's what happens. God takes the life air out, and then all philosophy is finished. So therefore, he says that ekatme hetuna, that there is only one person who is not dependent on anybody. Everybody is dependent on others. Even I am wearing this cloth, I did not make it. I cannot live without others' help. My food, my house, so many people go to make this. How can I say I am independent? Everybody needs cooperation, support of others in the society, especially human beings. In that regard, animals are more independent. They can live. So human beings, they are always dependent. And God is the only one who is not dependent. Actually, one definition of God is who is not dependent on anybody. So if anybody says he is God, just tell him, okay, remove your cloth and make your own cloth. Let's see if he can do that. He will waste all his life just making oneself. So God, he is not dependent on anybody. He doesn't need to go to supermarket to buy his cloth and then go to a tailor. He has his own cloth. So he is the one person. And he is the one who is the source of everyone. Ekatmam yena tena vargadinam ekatmyena anya nirpeksha swarupena eva hetuna. Therefore, he is the one who gives the result for everyone's actions without depending on anybody. Even if we are rewarding somebody, we depend on others. Because we, by our nature, are dependent. A child is born, everybody is taken birth from the mother, even those who say they are gods or avatars. They are dependent one day. So, Anya Nirpeksha means totally independent. That is only God. Because He is Swarat, self-luminous, self-dependent, and everybody depends on him. Whether we accept it or not, it's like we all depend here on this earth planet for light on sun god. So we may accept it, we may not accept. We say, I don't care. But fact is that Tera varga swarga apvarga kamairapi gadabhrid archaniya. So whether one wants to be successful here in the material life, or one wants to enjoy in heaven, if one believes in that, or one wants spiritually enlightened, one should always worship God. Or if one does not want anything, which is very rare, tesam niskamanam sakanam cha gadabhrita. So whether you have material desires or you have no desires, your duty is to worship God, because that is the perfection of life. Atra pramanam, and what is the proof? He quotes this famous verse, akamaha sarva kamo va moksha kamo udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham para. So whether one has any desire or has various desires, or desires for liberation or moksha, one should worship the Supreme Lord by intense bhakti yoga. And yat kam bhiryat tapsa ityado sarvam vad bhakti yogena vad bhakto labdhena satyadikam. And Lord Krishna also has spoken this to Uddhava in 11th Canto of Bhagavatam. He says that whatever a person wants, material, spiritual, good life here in heaven, he says all this can be attained by bhakti yoga, which means devotion to God. So that's what you are asking in the question. Bhakti yoga gives all perfection, and all other paths, they are dependent on that. अत्र प्रायेण इत्यनेन क्वचित् कर्म ज्ञानादि सापेक्ष रूपेण कर्म ज्ञानादि मिश्रयापि भक्त्या भक्ति मिश्रये कर्म ज्ञानादि धीर वर्गादि सिद्धिर न तो भक्त्या विनहित. So he says here that even if one following the karma yoga, jnana yoga or other path, they will not give perfection unless they are performed with bhakti yoga. Only when they are mixed with bhakti, then there is perfection. Without bhakti, one will not get the proper result of karma and jnana. So that's why the word prayana is used, because sometimes people, they do not engage only in bhakti yoga, but they mix it with other paths. So for that he used the word prayana. That usually, generally, this is the process. But there are many others. Bhaktestu tat swarupatvam tu prasiddham. Because bhakti is the heart of the Lord, and it is bhakti which attracts the Lord, it is bhakti which controls the Lord. And Lord is the controller of everything. So whatever you want, you can get it from God. And God is attained by bhakti, not by yoga. Right? Because yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga means making your mind free from all thoughts. So you can do that by practice, but that is not going to please God. That is not going to give you God realization. Jnana means to think you are God. You can think, but then you are not going to become God. So bhakti is the only thing which is directly related to God. And therefore it gives the supreme realization of God. And it gives the highest perfection in one's life. So for that reason he said that prayane ekatma hetu, that whether it is heaven, material pleasure, enlightenment, All this happens by the grace of God only, generally speaking. And generally speaking means sometimes people follow other paths, but even they have to take to bhakti in some sense. So this was his lecture. This is a king speaking to his people. This is how the ruler should teach to the people of the country, so that everybody becomes godly, divine. But now the situation is other. That if you want to worship God, then they will come and ask, why are you vegetarian? Why are you not feeding meat to your children? I was in France, and then somebody was telling that because he is vegetarian and there is no television in his house, so the neighbors complained and the police came. And they questioned him for hours. That why you don't have television in your house? And why your children do not have the freedom to eat meat? So this is modern kingdom. So I will stop here if there is any question. Yes. Right.